Hi, everybody. I'm Gary Groob. Welcome to NLL Lacrosse Talk on Spanglish Sports World, Spanglish World Network, seen on Zingo TV, channel 249 and 250. Please remember to download the Zingo TV app at the respective app stores for iOS and Android devices. While you download, please make sure to rate and leave a comment. Both apps are absolutely free. Zingo TV is available on Google Chromecast, Amazon Fire, Fire TV sticks, Roku sticks, also available on all smart TVs 2016 and above. Now on NLL Lacrosse Talk, allow me to introduce my guest this week. Head coach of the Maple Ridge Burrards, head coach of the ALL West Grizzlies, and defensive coach of the Vancouver Warriors, Mr. Rob Williams. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Gary. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. First question that we usually ask all of our guests is, how did you get involved in lacrosse? How did you pick up a stick?
My neighbor down the street, actually my best friend at the time, he was playing, and his parents suggested that I pick it up, and my parents registered me to play, and it's been nonstop since then.
Now, you growing up on out west, you did junior with Coquitlam, right?
Yes, sir. I did. Yeah.
Now, very storied franchise. Let's talk about the program first off, and then we'll talk about some of the coaching that you had, etc. But let's just first start with the program itself.
Okay. Yeah. It's actually, for me, we had such a great group of people that started us out in junior. We had, Lance Andre is the owner and general manager of the Burrards. His parents actually, Adam and Jean, kind of spearheaded and managed our junior team when I first got there. And, it's kind of funny because it's like a family affair, really. Someone Gill was a big deal back then in the Coquitlam minor, and with our team, having Chris on the team. And then, it just goes from there. Just the parent group that was involved just kind of, built that junior program up. And we went to 2 Mintos, and then graduated. Everyone kind of moved their own separate ways. So we were fortunate to have like a great group of people that kind of brought us along.
Right. And you also spent quite a bit of time playing field as well. In fact,
I did.
Coordinating with 92 with the Team Canada. But let's talk about getting involved with that.
Okay, so that was I forgot to mention. I mentioned Ted Fridge too. Darren Fridge's dad was a pretty big deal in Coquitlam lacrosse, and he started, I believe, with maybe the guys that there was a group of guys from the West that went out to H.E.R really early on. Trevor Wingrove and Jeff Gumbar and Rodney Tapp, who's actually an Eastern guy but was out West for a while. There's a whole group of those guys, and then so Ted started. I think Darren went to Sonoma. Sorry, Darren Fridge went to Sonoma. Anyway, so Ted started the men's field lacrosse team. So I think Gilly and I, and there's a couple other guys. We started playing field with the men, I think when we were like 16 or 17, and then just kind of moved on from there, and then played on the 92 junior men's team and then 98 men's team. So yeah, that was my field lacrosse beginning, with Ted Fridge and Coquitlam Senior Adnex field lacrosse team.
Right. Well, you talking about winning a silver medal with the Team Canada group in field. Yeah. Now a lot of the guys who I've talked to out of the Canadian programs, it's box players playing field on a field, right?
Right.
It's not really a field game like NCAA. It's more scripted out, more of box, and a lot of teams have trouble trying to keep up with our format that way.
Yeah, it's funny. I think for sure if you went back and watched the 98 game that went to overtime with the US, we drastically changed what we were doing at halftime, and clearly the results, like we came back, I think it was 9-2 at half, and we came back and sent that game to overtime, unfortunately losing, but we basically went back to playing box lacrosse on the field in that game. But I think it's drastically changed with all the kids going to NCAA and playing. You watch Team Canada this summer, and there was a lot more field lacrosse being played by the Canadian players than back then. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, that program's developed huge over the years, both men and women. It's really incredible and great to watch over the years to see how it's garnered speed. And of course, the best thing, of course, is go to NCAA and wind up in Harvard or Yale or Princeton or something like that, or Cornell, and get a real good education to go with it. That's always a nice too, right?
I think they go down there too, and they get the personal training, the weights, the video, and everything else. We are all doing now here, but it wasn't really. We obviously guys were fit and worked out, but they didn't get the sports specific training that these guys are getting when they go to college. And I think when the guys graduate and get to the NLL and you see these athletes, you're like, it's a step above, like quite a few from where we were at that point in time.
Right. One of the other things also is around here is the Hill, Brody Merrill's thing. Marichek's got one going out in the States as well. I had him on and he was talking about that as well. But to have that prep school just before you make it into an NCAA school, or having them looking for your best interest in getting there, is probably a lot more conducive to success than way back when.
For sure. And we got Tyler Pace out here and Kevin Crawley, separate companies, but it's privatized, but still same idea. They're getting kids looks at universities and teaching them what they need to know to get there. And Alberta, obviously Jeff Snyder, they're just, it's just Statler too. Sorry, I should have mentioned Statler in Saskatchewan too. Yeah, absolutely. They're just, it's just like a different place than where we came from. They got all these different guys that have experienced it and brought them along and helped them get there, right? So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's great to see it through most of the provinces now here too. So hopefully we hit all of the provinces in the near future, and just take a look at the way this program is going to explode.
Yeah, I mean, I just coached at the U7 for the U17 team, BC team, and the nationals. And all the provinces have gotten better, man. They were such good lacrosse. Every team was like, there wasn't a team that was out of place, I would say. Mm-hmm. The competition was way tougher this year than any year I think I've been to that national tournament. So
right, I've been making trips over the last number of years. I've been making trips to Prague for the Rubeski tournament and watching European lacrosse, box lacrosse, and watching it make its way up the thing. It's reminding me of hockey. And if North America isn't too aware or too concerned, just like hockey, it'll overpass. And it may not happen in a year or two, but they're coming. And boy, oh boy, are they ever quick!
Yeah, I want to try and go to work for that tournament one year. It just kind of lines up with the start of box season out here, though, so it's tough to manage it. But it'd be cool for sure. I've heard nothing but good things about it. That's for sure.
Oh, it's great. But also you with the Warriors, hopefully you're pushing for a playoff run at that point.
That's fair too. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're hoping your dance card is a little bit too full to make it out there. So
yeah, hopefully it's not for a while. That's for sure. Yeah.
Right. All right. Let's talk about your playing career when you get to the MILL, and you start out with Baltimore. How did you get involved with the MILL in the first place?
I kind of had talked about it. I didn't go to school, and I was just having conversations with. It was actually me and Chris Gill and Bob Watson. We didn't know Bobby at the time, but certainly got to know him well and became great friends. But Gilly and I had talked about it, and then we were on with that same Coquitlam senior field team. We went to the Brogdon Cup, and at that time it was club teams. So it was us against Mount Washington. And so we just kind of got the feelers out there, and we had people come out and watch. And then next thing you knew, we were going to try out there and played a year there. Great experience. Right.
Yeah, I had Darius Kilgore on a while back, and he was always called that the Wild Wild West when it came to lacrosse, because it was just anything went. I remember many a days going into the Buffalo Memorial Odd and catching Bandits games there through the 90s, and it was insane.
Yeah,
it was insane. The Spectrum was nuts. Boston was nuts. The Odd was nuts. Talk about the first time being out in that environment, and it was obviously something you hadn't experienced before, and then you walk out into this zoo of energy.
Well, I can talk on two separate experiences. My first game in Baltimore, it wasn't box lacrosse. It was up and down the floor. You didn't care about the 30-second clock. And I was sucking wind after the first two shifts, I think. And I was just like, man, what is going on here? What are we at? what are we actually, playing here? And then you get used to it and they get used to you, and it's, things kind of pan out from there. But first couple shifts, it was like, it was a racetrack. And everyone, like, they had the 9-foot, everyone with like loose balls or just hammering guys. And it was like, I mean, we're used to rock, but like when you're not used to that 9-foot rule in box and it's such tight quarters, you're getting lit up quite a bit. And then my next experience I didn't actually even play this game, but just going to the Spectrum when they were getting 17,000 people and having that feeling like this is like, because first time for me to see a crowd like that for lacrosse, 17,000 people, and they were, Philly's like, they're raucous, like it was crazy. And then, the hairs are standing up on your neck and you got that feeling in your stomach, you're like, this is what it's all about, like it's moving that way. So those are my two big moments. Was the first two, and then going to that, watching that.
Well, these arenas also, unlike the ones now,
cool.
which are the cookie cutter, everything's the same. Everything's the same now. Back then, with the Spectrum, Boston, all these places, they were on top of you. They're on top of you, the fans. Sorry, can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah. Pardon?
What I'm saying was, unlike now with
Freezing
the cookie cutter.
Yeah, now I can. Yeah.
Okay. Unlike now with the cookie cutter arenas, where everything's pretty much the same, just the names change. The Spectrum, Memorial Odd, Maple Leaf Garden, any of these places, they were so different, and the fans were almost on top of you while you're playing too. Sorry. You can hear me again, Rob? Can you hear me, Rob?
I can now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, like I was saying before, with the arenas now, most of them are pretty much the same dimensions, the same thing. The seats are wide and spread.
Yeah.
The old days when you were playing Mill, especially, they were on top of you. Places like Philadelphia, Buffalo, the fans were on top of you, low boards, very easy to make contact with one another.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. I can remember people in Philadelphia coming over the glass and going, having things to say and trying to reach you. And yeah, for sure it was a different atmosphere. The Odd was, crazy. It was nice too. Back then, that year, Boston was still in their old arena. So that was pretty cool too. Like that, experiencing that stuff, knowing the history of those buildings, that was really cool too. Boston, obviously Larry Bird and all these basketball teams that, great basketball teams that have played there. It was pretty neat to be able to play in that environment and kind of know what had been there before. So.
Sure. Yeah. Now we go on to the NLL, and you get foray with the Ontario Raiders, the 1 year that they're in existence over in Hamilton. Let's talk about that. And I guess Les Bartley was coaching at the time. We have nothing but love for Les out here.
Yeah, I understand, man. Like Les took me under his arm, and kind of, when I look now as a coach, and some of my mentors, obviously he was one of them. Just the way he had a different kind of new age approach even back then. We did video. He was a player's coach. He was able to be your friend and your coach at the same time, put you in your place, but also be your friend. And I think I took a lot of lessons from Les. Great guy, great coach, amazing person. We had a good, Eddie Como was there too, and it was a great experience all in all. I had a fantastic time learning from Les for sure. He taught me a lot of things I never learned out here. Different things, not that it's different, but East and West, there's some coaching differences, and that was my real first experience with Eastern coaches. So that was pretty cool too. Yeah.
Right. And just before the explosion of the Rock with their 4 and 5 years, too. But that's one jersey that I can't find anywhere. The Raiders jersey from back in '98. I can't find it anywhere. My collection is big, and that's one thing that I've been searching for years for, and I just can't find it anywhere. But you move on from the Raiders. You move on to the Vancouver Ravens,
Yes, sir.
and you spent a couple of years there, and of course playing out of the Pacific Coliseum, so real close to home. If you go on to our All Across All the Time YouTube page, I have a lot of retro games that I've inherited Bill Fox's collection.
Yeah.
So all the mill games and all up to about 2010 NLL games. So there's a number of them. I'm sure you can find yourself in a bunch of these games from either the Ravens or the Raiders or the Roughnecks or some of these things. There's a bunch of games I put up. I have about another 60 or 80 tapes to go through because
Cool.
I got to convert them out of the VHS tapes to them. But I love these things, man. I just love watching these retro games.
Yeah, they're pretty cool. I'd have to check them out. Some of the names on those lists, the Hall of Famers and just like amazing. Like some of the, and that's kind of cool because it's all like the Canadian guys that you got to play against, but you also were like looked up to them. Or like Andy Ogilvy and Kevin Alexander played for a while. Like and getting to see him play at that level and that, at his age and still be able to kind of do it kind of gave you a perspective of how good he was. There's so many names I could, we could go on for hours.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. But again, a lot of it, I love, especially new people to the game or people who are young, watching you guys behind the bench and having these tapes around going, have a look what they did on the floor.
Right.
Just to get perspective of, no, they're not just a suit behind the bench. Look at what they've done. And
yeah, it's
it's
pretty
really
cool.
a great little tool to just enhance the experience a little bit for them.
It's really funny if you like you look at some of the lists, you look at the list of coaches and then the guys that are coaching now, and there's a direct correlation to Les Bartley, Terry Sanderson, Chris Hall, all the great coaches. All these players that played under them are falling into place on their benches, and it's like all obviously the stuff we learned from those guys. I got guy Paul Del Monte's his name's not brought up much with that group, but he won a bunch of Minto Cups in a row, and then he had that Vancouver team going in the right direction, and the bottom kind of just fell out, right? So, there's the lineage tied to the group of great coaches before us, and then the people that are on benches now. It just kind of goes to show, the giving back and the good coaches, what they bring out in players and the thirst that they have to coach after they've played for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the Ravens were great. I love watching them. I actually have a couple of their jerseys too. But talk about being in the Pacific Coliseum for one. I loved that place years ago. I have family that's out there, so I always found reasons to get out there, and so it was always a great time and great atmosphere.
Yeah, we didn't actually play at Pacific Coliseum though.
Oh,
it was in Rogers Arena the first couple of years it was open. It was in Rogers. We never played at a Pacific Coliseum. Yeah. Sorry, it just wasn't the venue. So.
All right, no worries. No worries. You move over to Calgary, 2005, 2006. You come in just after the first championship. So let's talk about the organization. Now they've already tasted victory.
Yeah.
And moving on from there and the culture.
I mean, there was still a winning culture there. Some key injuries to that team that year. Devin Ray blew his knee, I think, or Taylor Ray, one of the two. And then they lost some guys, like usually happens, like guys move on. And I think we still got to the first round of playoffs, but we just, didn't have enough. And I still had great leadership. Tracy Kluski was the captain. Kyle Gowry was an assistant. There's Jay Walder was still there. Caleb was still there at the time. It was still a good team. It's just sometimes, when you lose those pieces, and unfortunately I was one of the guys that was brought in to replace a piece. And it just wasn't the same. So
right. That was a bruising team, though. Absolutely bruising. Those Toronto Calgary games that I remember were just absolutely slobber knockers.
There was a real bad one in Toronto one night. I think Ladiseur and Jesse Phillips fought. Timmy fought McNish. I think Gowry fought someone. There was a couple of there was a bunch of fights in that game. It was like guys were getting sent off left, right, and center. Yeah, it was nuts.
Yep. Yep. Now you make it over to Edmonton, and that was more or less the beginning of that franchise, was it not?
It was halfway through the season though.
Right.
So
Right.
they
And
yeah.
so
Sorry, go
that's
ahead.
Paul Day, right? Paul Day
Yes,
was
sir.
GM coach, and let's talk about that because he's had a little bit of a rough ride over in Philadelphia. But the Paul I know from obviously from Peterborough is just so passionate, so into his teams, and just loves his players. What was it like playing for Paul and through and going into Edmonton?
Yeah, man. Like Paul is another, Les Bartley kind of story where he's able to become your friend and your coach at the same time. Super knowledgeable. Obviously, he's won a lot. I think for people that are on top of people, like there's ups and downs in this business as a coach. You don't always find the right recipe. It wasn't there last year, but it's been there before, and he'll find it again. He's Paul's a great individual, great coach, cares so much and loves the sport so much. He'll get that franchise turned back around and going in the right direction, no matter what position he's in. For the people that have been like kind of hard on him, I don't think it's fair. I think that it's easy to do that from the bleachers.
Yep.
When you experience it yourself, the ups and downs of it, and understand that he's done his best to get the right, like I said, recipe, and sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. It's just the way it it lands, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer, like coach,
Oh, yeah.
like it's just for me it's nonsense to question someone's after a bad season, to question someone's ability to do their job when they've been so
Absolutely.
great. They've been so great all along. So that's he's going to be a friend for life. I love Paul,
Mhm.
great guy. Like I said, we became really good friends, and that's not easy to do either when you got to tell someone the truth. And for me, I like always on the borderline of being in the lineup or not, and he was always honest with me, and I appreciate that. That's one thing about learning from coaches, that if you want to be friends, you got to be able to handle an honest conversation, and I've been
Sure.
lucky to have coaches like that.
Right.
So, yeah.
And you take a look at his track record, between all the other teams, Rochester, especially Peterborough and the 4-man cups, and it's he's fantastic. He's been on the show, and just to talk to him, it's just so much fun.
Yeah, just a great guy, just a great human being.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. Now you played WLA, you played for Burnaby and for Maple Ridge, right?
Yep.
And again, a lot of success with both squads. Let's talk about it. I'm very very versed on MSL. I'm not
Yep.
that versed on WLA. Let's talk a bit about the game itself and how it's come from when you played to where it is now.
Well, obviously it was a lot rougher. A lot more kind of got let go. There's things that can't happen today that used to happen in the past, and they were just kind of part of the sport. Um, and they don't happen anymore. And for some of it's good reason. Um, it's faster. They're the same as the NLL. It's just the faster. They're in better shape. They have better sticks. They've all mostly gone to college or play all year long. Constantly have a stick in their hand. It's not. Everybody's kind of got the same. I think are heading in the same direction. They want to go to school, or they want to play in the NLL. WLA is the step before that. What's cool out here in the West is the league's gotten younger and it's gotten tighter. Other than Victoria going 18-0, everybody was within
Right.
2 or 3 points, and there's not much discrepancy between the teams. Like it was a really competitive young league, and
Right.
I enjoyed coaching it. I enjoyed coaching against. And the other thing was young coaches that are coming through now. These are kind of like there's like been over a little bit.
Well, we've lost Rob at the moment, and hopefully we'll get him back. I've got a lot of questions to ask him because we still have to deal with his coaching and all the things, because he jumped on in 2016 with the Calgary Roughnecks as an assistant coach. And one of the things I really want to talk with him about is, of course, the magical season of 2019 when they won the championship, and it was absolutely a shocker to the Buffalo Bandits at that time. One of the other reasons, of course, was the Christian Del Bianco factor, and of course, watching him through junior, it was easy to see that he was going to be a star once he hit the NLL, and it became fruition. It became a big thing. That same year, he took on the head coaching job with the Maple Ridge Burrards, and this I believe he's still there with the Burrards, and I believe he's now the longest tenured coach in the WLA, which is pretty amazing. And of course, his inaugural year with the Burrards, he took them to the WLA championship, also winning again in 2018. He had to leave the Roughnecks because he got a promotion with his day job, because, of course, lacrosse, we all have to have a secondary thing to make income. And he left and stepped away from coaching, and he became a scout briefly. Now, of course, you can only keep the guy away for so long. Sean Williams comes knocking with the new Las Vegas Desert Dogs, and Rob heads over onto the Vegas coaching staff for a year, and he's there with Sean Williams and the new team of the Las Vegas Desert Dogs. Of course, we remember Kurt Maloskin going over from Calgary over to Vancouver, and one of his big moves, of course, was bringing over Rob to the Warriors. And last year, Rob was on the bench with the Warriors, reuniting with Kurt Malosky. And the team didn't start out the greatest. They were still getting used to one another because there was a big turnover in personnel. Kurt brought in the people he thought as leaders and people who he thought that would be great fits for the team. And sure enough, after about halfway through the year, this team moves along, and it picks up steam in a big way. One of the big things, I think, was the bringing in of Aaron Bold in net. And when you have him, number one, steady the ship, but number two, be a good role model for Hayden Walsh, and away we go. And when he was able to get back in net later in the season, was a whole different goalie right then and there. And again, you take a look at the team that Kurt had put together with Rob and his other coaches, and defensively, you're looking at Ryan Dilks, Brett Midsky, Matt Beers, John Lintz, Reed Bowering, lots of savvy NLL All-Stars on this team. And then the forward package is no slouch either. When you're looking at Kevin Crowley, you're looking at Keegan Ball, Ryan Lowen, a late trade in the season for Brad McCulley, Adam Charlemagne Beatties, and you have plenty of scoring going on there, and a lot of creative play, more so. So keeping teams on their edge. And of course, we're talking about Bold and Walsh in net. And let's also not forget the drafting of Connor O'Toole, who had another great season this year and is in the middle of a Minto Cup as we speak. But looking forward to this year, I think that the Warriors are going to be one of those teams that are going to be in the thick of it. For years we've been talking about Colorado and talking about Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan's rebuild is starting to move forward, but as it works now, I think personally, just with the chemistry that's on the Vancouver team, the growing pains that they've gone through, the growing together that this team has put together, I think this team is going to make a lot of noise in the upcoming NLL season. Now, the people of Vancouver haven't been deaf to this as well. They were setting attendance records all last year. It started even when they weren't winning, but when they started catching fire, this team kept getting more and more people. And, name of the game. Name of the game right there. I was hoping also to talk to Rob about his time with the Iroquois Nationals. And he was on their bench for the World Indoor Championships in 2019 as an assistant coach. And, one of the things that always interests me about the Haudenosaunee teams is that they are so great, but have such a smaller pool to draw from. You're looking at just a small little bend compared to a United States or a Canada who have this humongous pool to draw from, but yet they're always in the thick of the race. Granted, from the time they're born with a little stick, and it gets, right from the time they can crawl, they're playing. But to have this consistent of a team continuously, as well as having fantastic coaching, guys like Rob Williams, I think is just spectacular. Also, what I wanted to talk about, because I've been, as you all know, the media person for the ALL East, is we've had the whole group, both ALL East and ALL West, on the show. The last time I had all the guys from the ALL West, they were just getting ready to have their first season, and they've had a few under their belt now, and this is growing. This is growing wildfire. You're going to see expansion out there probably before you see another expansion in the East. Now, what is so appealing about the ALL? There's a couple of things. Paul St. John has put together a great organization with a great MO, and that is NLL rules, NLL coaching. A lot of guys who have either finished in the NLL or trying to get back for one last kick in the NLL, as well as a lot of hungry guys who are trying to get up to the NLL. What does it teach? It teaches these players how to be a professional, both on and off the floor. That way, when they do get up there, they stay up there. We've talked about it a number of times with a number of players who have gone through the ALL, and they've talked about the experience being invaluable. And from all the games that I've been able to see and cover, it is truly that. And watching some of these players that I've seen in December or November when the thing is just starting, and in April when they're having the championships, and to watch not a little group, but a humongous step forward on a lot of these players. And a number of these guys are going to be in the NLL very, very soon. The other big thing is, of course, when summer ball is over, and if you don't make it onto an NLL team, or even if you're on a practice squad where you're only going to get once a week with a stick in your hands, this is keeping a stick in your hand all through the year. That way, when the inevitable injuries happen in the NLL, or things happen that guys get cut, guys get moved, guys get traded, and positions open up, you have guys that are game ready to take that spot without much of a blip into your game plan. I believe the ALL has sent something like 25 or 30 players over the last number of years that they've been in existence into the NLL game ready. And a few players that come to mind, guys that you're going to see in the near future, I think, would be guys like Parker Pfeiffer, who just had a spectacular summer playing in MSL, also playing in OSL. And, he will be spectacular. Definite juggernaut points in that. And already drafted. So let's hope he catches on. But we've seen a number of guys who have made the work upward. Another one that comes to mind in the goaltending thing was Craig Wendy. Now, a lot of the guy has said over the years that he doesn't have what it takes. Craig is the epitome of what hard work and putting in enough hours and playing absolutely every game that you can possibly play. And then, boom, sure enough, he makes his dream. And he's played with Rochester. He's played with Georgia. He's gone on with Halifax. At the moment, he's back in the ALL and working on a few things towards getting back into the NLL. But, when it comes to sheer guts, determination, and hard work, he's your poster child for it. And there's a number of guys that have worked their way up and worked their way in. Bill O'Brien comes to mind also. And, Thriller. And he worked his way through back when it was still the St. Catharines Shockwave. And they'd won the championship that year. But before he knew it, he got on with the Buffalo Bandits and was playing defense there. So it doesn't look like Rob is going to make it back. It's a shame. I hope to reschedule with him. And there's a lot of other things that we want to talk about. Of course, I do want to talk also about State of the Union for the NLL. Also, with the Olympics coming up in 2028, I wanted to get his thoughts on sixes as well. Now, of course, I've heard a ton of this and all the traditionalists and talking about, well, it's not the real game. No, it's not. But anything that can get another 280 countries to take a look at our game, I'm for. Once we got them, then we can teach them. Because strictly put, I don't know anybody who's looked at this game at any given time and said, I don't like this. I want my time or my money back. Everybody falls in love with this game. And if we can get 280 more countries, watch the elevator go from, we're not on the ground floor anymore already. We're probably around 1 or 2. Watch it shift right up as though it was Willy Wonka's thing through the glass elevator shaft. And away it goes. Because I'm telling you, when this game gets out to all those countries, people are just going to go crazy for it. The NLL likes to talk about, it's the fourth thing now. We're the fourth biggest sport. Well, we truly will. We probably could jump ahead of 1 or 2 of them if we catch the right wave. We have 3.5 years to make sure that the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, that when we get this in front of all those people, those millions and millions of people, that this will be definitely the thing that will keep us flowing into the next generation. Just got a message from Rob. He's trying to get back on, so hopefully we'll be able to get him back for the last 5 or 10 minutes of the show, and we'll be able to talk more candidly about things. I'm really looking forward to the way things are going tonight. Of course, we have MSL Game 4 of the MSL Finals between Peterborough and the Major Series and the Six Nations Chiefs. And, Peterborough surprised a lot of people in the first 2 games, stopping the juggernaut known as the Six Nations Chiefs. However, a little more of what was expected happened in Game 3 over in the ILA, and it was a 12-3 thrashing by the Six Nations Chiefs to bring this to a 2-1 series. Tonight's pivotal. If Peterborough can pull it off and get up 3-1, I like their chances a lot more than if Six Nations ties it and it becomes 2-2 going back to the ILA for Game 5. In the midst, of course, in the West, the Victoria Shamrocks have gone up 3-0 and have a stranglehold on that series with Langley, and it sure looks as though the 18-0 perfect season is going to culminate with a Man Cup berth, and it's going to be a heck of a Man Cup, regardless if it's Six Nations or Peterborough, and most likely is going to be Victoria. This is going to be one you're going to want to catch all the games. Minto-wise, there was really no surprise. A couple of weird things along the way to get there, But of course, Orangeville against Coquitlam in the finals for that, which just is going to be taken off, I believe, tonight is game 1. So that's going to be a big one as well. My favorite time of the year right now, because you're into all the playoffs. Starting on Sunday, you're going to have the President's Cup start up out west. And so you're going to have all the championships going simultaneously in Canadian Summer Bowl, which is just awesome. Now, also, if you are looking for the MSL game, if you go onto Major Series Lacrosse onto their YouTube page this evening, you should be able to catch the game live, which doesn't matter where you are. You can be on the other side of the world and catch it through their YouTube page. So to me, that's fantastic. Nothing like growing the game, right? Which brings us back to what I would point with sixes was, of course, we have to have it out on the field because there's a lot of countries that don't have access like we do here in North America to hockey arenas. So to have it out on the grass and, make it a little smaller field, a little less players, so you only have to get 12 players to get a game going. This makes it a lot easier for a lot of countries to get involved. And, we've seen it time and time again. When you don't have a huge base and you can find 15 or 20 guys and put together that team that can grow together with the right coaching. And, it's going to be magical. Let's not forget about the World Box Lacrosse Championships also over in Utica, heading into the second half of September. So it's only a few weeks away now, guys. Only a few weeks away. If you go on to World Lacrosse, you'll find a way how to view the games. If you are anywhere in the vicinity, I implore you to try and get out there because you're going to watch some phenomenal lacrosse. And not just men's. You have 10 teams from the women's side as well. And we've had Michelle Boyer on the show before talking about how great the programs are. We could probably have 13 or 14 teams and still have anybody could win this championship. That's how much parity there is in the league, and that's how much it's increasingly gotten better. And it's just spectacular. I love watching women's sixes. I love watching women's box because, man, you want to talk about effort from the word go through all 60 minutes. There's no shifts being taken off. I really enjoyed last week watching the WMSL championships, both the A and the B championships, and some fantastic lacrosse going on during that period. So really, really a lot of things to take a look at. And also next week, we're hearing rumblings of a dispersal draft because we're not sure about the Panther City squad. But free agency, the pushback date is mid next week. So it's going to be all guns a-blazing. The dispersal draft might change a lot of teams' needs, though. If you can find what you're looking for in that dispersal, say you're looking for a goalie and Nick DeMood happens to happen into the team, that changes what you're looking at free agent wise. Also, with the draft coming up in just a couple of weeks as well, in the entry draft, and that might change the needs there as well. Well, I definitely will reach out to Rob and get him back on the show, and we want to talk about all of his accolades, coaching, and what to look forward to this year, as well as what were the highlights of his past summer with the Burrards, a much younger team than in previous years. They went 9-9. They finished second place during the year. Had some fantastic players on that team. Brandon Humphrey and net, Ryan Jones, Dylan McIntosh, Marcus Klarich, Tor Reinhold, Jackson Subak, Nash Moog, Adam Kennedy. Just a great young squad, and it's going to be a great program for a number of years, and they're going to give Victoria all they can handle next year for sure. All right, just a reminder that This show can be heard on the Spanglish Radio Network. Please check out Spanglish Sports World, spanglishworld.ca, for all the news and programming. Spanglish Sports World. Watch it, hear it, read it, download it, live it. We're off next week, but we're back in 2 weeks' time. Colton Watkinson will be our guest at that time. So please tune in as always. And I am Gary Groob. It's been my pleasure to talk to you again about the state of lacrosse. And until we meet again in 2 weeks' time, have a great one. Keep your stick in your hands. Well, it looks like we haven't left just yet. Well, my big thing here now is we're going to talk about a little bit more about the upcoming Mann Cup. And for those of you who aren't really versed in it, that is the Stanley Cup of lacrosse. The big thing here is summer ball, in my opinion, is actually a more exciting thing than the NLL. There's more action. It's a lot rougher. But yeah, Gord, I can't leave. I just, away we go. We're just going to keep going on and on. I'll be talking about Fan Cup soon at this stage. Eh? By the way, we've won. The Roadies were champions. Thanks, Gord. I have hang on a moment, guys.